Okay, good morning everyone, and thanks for coming along to fastBREAK. As Omar said, I'm pretty familiar with the fastBREAK crowd. I've done everything from be the bell person over there, I've been the host, I've even worked over on the Black Star pastry table. And that was probably my favourite job, but today I'm here to talk to you. So I know a fastBREAK crowd, and I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say that we're being saturated by our media use. We use our mobile phones from the moment we wake up in the morning to the time we go to sleep. But have you ever stopped to actually think, what are we using this media for? To what ends are we using it? This was a question which came up for me a couple of years ago when I travelled to a country called Bhutan. Okay, so for those of you who don't know Bhutan, Bhutan's a country nestled in the Himalayas. It's right in between two of the world's biggest superpowers, being China and India. They peacefully transitioned over from a monarchy to a democracy, and not that long ago either. So they're one of the world's newest democracies. They actually grow marijuana wild, which is something that people always find pretty interesting. And they also measure something called gross national happiness. Okay, now gross national happiness might sound like something, that they thought up when, I don't know, maybe they were smoking the marijuana that grows wild there, it's like, yeah, let's measure gross national happiness. But it's actually a legitimate government policy. They prioritize it over gross domestic product, and any legislation that's put forward and any facet of Bhutanese society has to be measured against the facets of gross national happiness. Now, I was over there working in the media at one of the country's first independent newspapers, the Bhutan Observer. And coming from Australia, the idea of, the media and happiness was something that was just completely foreign to me. And so I was thinking to myself, how on earth are they going to use the media to create happiness? But there I was, under the guidance of a lady who I knew as Madame Punso, who was the head of the newspaper, who was willing to put every last ounce of her energy, every last dollar, and every part of her being towards using the media to create happiness. And the newspaper was actually a pretty important part of that, because at the time that I was over there, internet penetration had only reached about 30%. And I guess that got me thinking about the way that we use the media back at home. We use the media for things like this. We use the media to click like on something like this. Or we use the media to share something like this. Yeah. So I guess the question I want to ask, and what I want to urge you to do, is to try and use the media for something more. I want to ask you to end Slacktivism, to end the idea of just clicking like on something or just sharing something and thinking that's going to change the world. An end to the endless selfies. I mean, what good do they do? And can we use the media for something more, to go beyond just collaboration, to go beyond just having conversations, to actually creating real social impact in the offline world? Okay, so it has been used around the world. I think the Arab Spring is a great example of times that media, and in particular social media, was used to bring a spotlight to some really important issues. But I'd like to think that we don't have to wait to a time of political turmoil to actually do that. Although, political turmoil and political upheaval is coming a bit more familiar to us now, but I'd like to think that we don't have to get to that point before we use the media to do more than, like cat memes and share cat memes on Facebook, although they are kind of funny. Okay, so I'd like to share with you today some of my favorite examples of people who are just like you and me, who have, exactly what we have and possibly less, and they've been able to use the media successfully to create real social impact in the offline world. So the first example is an example from McKenna Pope, who is a 13-year-old girl from America. Now, she wanted to buy her brother an easy bake oven for Christmas. And although her brother loved cooking, he wasn't so keen on the idea of an easy bake oven. But basically the idea was that all he saw in advertising was girls using easy bake ovens. So, who wants to be a boy when all you can see in the media is girls using easy bake ovens? So she took a video of her brother talking about why he didn't want to use the easy bake oven, very, very cute, posted on a website called change.org. It got over 40,000 online signatures, got the attention of Hasbro, a big corporate giant. They, after some initial hesitation, actually ended up changing the advertising surrounding Easy Bake Ovens to include both girls and boys. They moved it from only being made in pink and purple to be made in more gender-neutral colours. And yeah, that was just, I thought, a really inspirational example. I mean, 13-year-old, all she had was a simple video posted up online. Okay, I knew that one day being the bell person was going to come around and hit me again. Okay, the second example is a lady, you can move on for that one now. Yeah, a lady named Jennifer Windroom, and this is where it comes back home a bit more. Jennifer Windroom was a lady who used the platform that I work at now, Start Some Good. So her mother was actually diagnosed with cancer, and unfortunately, Jennifer couldn't be there to through the whole chemotherapy process because she lived on the other side of the country. So, as any good social entrepreneur does, she thought of a solution. She came up with the idea of creating a sock puppet created by her who could be with her mother throughout the process and comfort for her. She saw what that did for her mother and she wanted to create that for more and more people, but she needed to get the funds together to do that. So, using the Start Some Good platform, she told her story online, got people activated, and raised, in just over 30 days, she raised $35,000 to create this social enterprise and help people going through chemotherapy throughout the world. Okay, so I guess the question I'd like to ask you is, what separates these people from people like you and me? I know I'm preaching to the choir when I tell you to use the media and to use it wisely, but what separates these people from being able to actually make something happen offline? Okay, firstly, I think it's that they're sincere. And from the work that I've done with Start Some Good, from the work that I've done with Vibewire, and through the rest of my work in the media, from what I've seen, the stuff that actually makes stuff happen is when people are sincere. I mean, I think if we just look back to, did anyone see that hashtag #AskBolt, which happened, I guess, just over a week ago? So you know the journalist Andrew Bolt? Yeah, so professional douchebag. He went out onto Twitter with the hashtag #AskBolt, and I guess somebody at his boss or somebody thought that putting a hashtag out there asking people to ask questions would be a good idea. But obviously it was a completely insincere gesture because he's somebody who's not really open to other ideas. So people got in there and completely trolled the hashtag and asked questions like, did you know winter is coming? Or how does it feel to be a nut and a bolt at the same time? Do you cringe when you put your left shoe on? And things like that. So yeah, I guess the one thing is to be sincere because otherwise, you know, people are going to see straight through it. Number two is to use the right tools. So for McKenna, it was using change.org. For Jennifer Windroom, it was using Start Some Good, which I think is a fantastic tool. So use the right tools. You see other things where I'm not sure how real they are, but people post it on Facebook. You know, if this gets 50,000 likes, this person's going to have their head tumor, the doctor will remove their head tumor. I mean, I can't imagine a doctor standing there going, you know, we're 5,000 likes short. I'm sorry, I can't operate. So use the right tools. Give people more than doing something just like. Give them, like McKenna did, the opportunity to sign a real online signature, or like Jennifer did, to actually pledge something financially towards what you want to achieve. And number three, I guess, to know your end goal. To know what you want to do with the media that goes beyond just having a conversation or, you know, sparking somebody's interest or just collaborating or networking. Have an end goal, something that happens offline. Okay, so I'm not saying, you know, despite what I said before about ending selfies and things like that, I kind of only did that to keep within the fastBREAK theme, but I'm not saying to completely end selfies, you know, to completely end, you know, the hot dog / leg holiday snaps. But to just, I guess, not be complacent about your use with the media, because there are people on the other side of the world who are grasping at every single chance they can to use such a powerful tool to do something more. And we literally, I mean, if you look at your phones, you literally have the power to do that in your own hands. So I'll end with the obligatory Twitter handles. So yeah, I guess if you want to connect with me and find out more about Start Some Good or what I do, that's where I'm on Twitter. That's where I'm on Start Some Good, where I always share tools of how people can create social change. So thanks very much.